where we swap visible spaces. So if we create anything on the screen, I do, for example, if you want to hide, throw this in a no-show, we just highlight everything, click swap visible spaces, and we can see what we have on the swap visible. We have the axis that we just hide over here right before we start. And if we highlight this, we want to throw it in a blank level, we just click hide show, and everything right now it's in no show level. Okay, so let's click swap again, and let's click a right click over here, hide show. Let's bring the axis back. So we got our axis. See, right click again, hide show, hide show. So now we bring it back up again. Okay, and I want to get a little bit familiar with those tabs, those icons. We can move them around. You can tell those are hidden over here. Let's can bring it up, or we can move it on the top right here. We have a little bit more space, and we have over here the pad option, pocket, shaft, ribs, grooves. Those are all the toolbars that we can create a solid. We're gonna go through them pretty quick, but first of all, I just want to make sure we got pretty familiar with the mouse rotating the pad around, zooming in and out, and we want to give it a try to create a solid after this. Before we get any farther, I want to make sure we get pretty familiar with the part design toolbars. So as you see right here, as I go, this right here is a sketcher toolbar where you talked about. We can build our sketcher in here. Then we have our sketch-based feature toolbars. We got all of them. Then we have the dress up feature toolbars from here to here. Then we got the surface feature toolbar from here to here. Then we got the transformation feature toolbar. Then we got the tools and the analysis. Then we got the constraints toolbar. We already talked about this in a sketcher mode. We have the annotation toolbar, the reference element toolbar, bowling operations, and the insert toolbar. So I just want to make sure we get pretty familiar with what's going on over here. Again, this is the menu, the design menu bar, and once again, this is a sketcher. The workbench description. So the resolution is kind of bad. I can't even see it myself. But right here, we got again the sketcher menu bar on the top. And I'll go on the side again. The sketcher, see it's got the sketcher toolbar. So this is the sketcher one. Then we have the constraints, the dimensions right here. We got a profile over here. Then we have operation toolbar down here. Then we have the sketch tools. We got the regular toolbar tools down here. So that's about it. So once again, on the sketcher, we're inside the sketcher. We got following toolbars: the menu sketcher, sketcher toolbar itself, you get the in and out, the constraint, Profile, Operation Toolbar, and Sketcher Tools, and the Tools toolbar. Let's go back again to the Sketcher. Let's play more with the Sketcher, learn a couple more things, how to build some rectangles. So let's go back on the Sketcher. See, once you click on the Sketcher, it's gonna ask us to click on the plane. Select the plane, or the planar face, or the sketch. So we can click back again on the XY plane down here, or we can click on the XY plane up here. It's the same thing. So if I click on XY, go back on the Sketcher, and I want to create a rectangle again. I know we did it before, but the more we do it, the better it is for us. I want to make sure that we get this pretty good. So right now I want to show you that if we don't throw any dimensions, even though we have it on the screen, we can move it around because it's not dimensioned. So we can destroy it because it's not dimensioned. So what happened is, let's give a couple dimensions and see what happens. Let's do right now Control Z, bring it back to normal. Go back to constraint. Let's click on this line with this line. Let's give it a dimension over here. Let's go back to the constraint. Let's get this line up here with this line over here. So right now we constrain it. Right now if I try to move it, we cannot. Oh, because we didn't put it in place, we still can move it. So let's undo this. And what we can do, we need to constrain these lines on a set, because right now this rectangular, it's not tied up with the axis system. So we can do, we can click on constraint again. Let's do it again. Click on the constraint. We want to do it this line to the horizontal over here. So if you click on it, before we click, let's do a right click and let's click coincidence and see what happened now. Now if we grab this, we go only left and right, but if I try to move it up and down, we can't because already constrained it with the axis. And let's do the same thing with the vertical dimension. Now let's click escape. The reason we got the horizontal line right now because I was already highlighted on the bottom line, so it's already brown. So let's click escape so we can deactivate it. See, click on it, it's activated. Escape, deactivated. Go back to constraint. Let's do this line with the vertical line, and we can click and let's give it a dimension to 20 or 30, whatever it needs to be. So right now if we try to grab the rectangular, move it up and down, we can't because we locked it in place. We fully constrained it. So there is our rectangular. Okay. Now if we go up here, we can get out of the sketch, exit workbench, and now we are back into the part design. We're back in the 3D view. Okay. So let's create a box. Let's click on the pad. then that's gonna ask us to select our profile, and as you see right here, we got our limit. We can click on the limit to move it up and down. We have more options over here. So as you see right now, we'll put 0 over here and preview. This is going to bring it down again. If we go up over here, we can make it up and down. On the limit, we can move it this way, or we can enter the dimension 15. And there's our box. Okay, so we can move it again. Panning, middle button, right click, so we can rotate. So right now I have middle button and right click, both of them clicked. And if I want to zoom in and out, middle button and tap right click, so we can do some zoom in. Okay, so let's get familiar with the mouse. Okay, so now as you watch our tree up here, this is the part design, and we start adding stuff to it. Those are the planes that we have them hidden on the no-show, which are down here. Those are our planes. If you see, if I go on top of them, you can see how they highlight. So if you want to bring it back onto the main screen, we can do right click, hide show, then we got that XY plane, which is X and Y we can see on the axis. Okay, so we can turn it off again, hide it. This is our axis system, which we create our sketch. This is the part body. This is the pad we just created right now, and this is our sketch. But we cannot see it anymore because I automatically threw it into no show. So what we can do a right click, hide show, and there's our sketch right here. And we can do right click again, properties, and we can say box, test sketch. So this is our box. We can do right click, hide it, and our pad we can do properties and change it to sample box. Okay, so let's go a step further. Let's go back on a sketcher. Go back on a sketcher. Click on a plane. It's asking you right here. Select a plane, or a planar sketch, or a plane. So we can click on a XY plane. Go back on the sketcher, and we can create a rectangle again. And let's create some dimensions on it. Let's click this line with this line. Let's create it 10 inches. Then let's get this line with this line 5 inches. Now what we can do is we can put some formulas in here. So we can click on this, then let's click equal, click on this dimension, and watch what happens. We have a formula over here, and we got 5 inches and 5 inches over here. Okay, now we can take a step further. So we can double click on this constraint right here and do a right click, edit formula. We can before we do that, we have to create a formula. So we can click on this and let's create a new parameter, a length. Click on the length, it's already highlighted, and let's call it length test. Okay, let's give it a dimension over here. Let's make it 10 inches. Let's put apply. Okay, now let's double click on this dimension right here. Right click, edit formula, and let's click on length, and you see right here it's the one I just created. Double click, this is the dimension, and now we fully dimension. See, we have a formula down here and down here. Click OK, and we can see our parameters. Most of those options right here, the parameters, if it doesn't show up right away, we can go to Tools, Options, and on the infrastructure, go to Part Infrastructure, then Parameters. If this is not on, you won't be able to see it. So let's go back to Tools, see it's not in here, Options, Infrastructure, Part Infrastructure, then Parameters. Click OK, and we got our parameters right here. So if we double click on this, we're back in a 3D view, and let's watch what happens. Double click on this, and let's change this to 50 inches, and there we go. And if we create a sketch on this, let's say 15 inches, and let's give it another try. Let's change it back to 20, enter. Automatically it will update our box. So now we can go back into our sketch. So we cannot see it because it's hidden over there. It's on a no-show. It's right here. So we can go on a no-show. There's 2 ways we can do this. We can go here, click hide show, automatically it's gonna bring it back. Or we can click hide show and throw it over here. So it's you can go here, or we can go here. Okay. So now we can go back in the sketch mode. So double click. You can do this two ways. To go back in the sketch mode, double click on the sketch and automatically throws it back in there. Go back. Or we can double click on sketch. I will throw it back in the sketch mode. So let's delete these formulas. And let's constrain it again. we can pre-select this. What we can do, we can click on this line, hold the control key down, click on this line. As you see, both of them got brown. If we click on the line again, we can unselect it. So hold the control key, select both of them, and as soon as we click on the constraint, automatically pops in place. Now we can click on this point. It's a point right here. We click on this point, and on this point right here, holding the control key down, and now going back to the constraint. Before we click, let's do a right click on the mouse, go to coincidence, and we got our part moved to the XY origin. Okay, we can put the part back in onto the normal view, and we can throw some more dimensions in here. Let's delete this. Let's create a line from this endpoint. See how it gets the full moon? That means we're like right at the end with this endpoint. Then we can give it a dimension. "45 degrees. Okay. Now if we exit, we're back on a 3D view, and automatically it's updating our pad. It used to be rectangular, now it's a pad. So we can go back in this sketch, change the angle. Let's go 22. Get out of the sketch. Automatically updates our pad. Let's try another option. Let's go back into the sketch. We can double click on the sketch here, or we can go here, double click, and if we create a circle, or we can create this over here, and if we get out of the sketch mode, automatically we got that slot in the middle of our solid. Okay, double click the sketch mode. Let's create any weird shape outside of the body. Get out of the sketch mode. Automatically is gonna update the sketch. So everything we create in the sketch is gonna bring it to the same dimension in our sketch mode. So now we have two models, but it's created in one sketch. So now we're done with the pad. Let's give it a try now and try a new option. The pad option, we tried it. Let's go to the multi-pad now. So let's delete everything that we have on the screen. Let's go to the pad, click on the pad, hit the delete key, click OK. Let's delete the parameters, and we're back to the main axis, which is right here, axis. Okay, so let's give it another try. Let's open a new sketch again. Let's go to plane. It's gonna ask you down here, select a plane or a planar face or a sketch. So let's do a, we can click on one of those planes. We can click on XY over here, XY plane. We can see it on the top right here. So if we click on the Z, it's putting our part on XY plane. Or we can click on XY plane up here, which is the same thing. Now we're back on the sketch. And let's create another rectangular. Let's go here. And this time I want to show you something more advanced. Let's unclick this option right here, the geometrical constraints, and I'll show you what this does. So let's create a rectangular. Okay, hit the screen, and let's put some dimensions on it. Oh, before we do that, I wanted to show you this. For example, we take this over here, we can move it all over because it's not constrained onto the sketch, so we can move it. And if we try to make this line with this line parallel, it's gonna complain because it doesn't like it. So let's preset first the lines before we go into constraint mode. So let's click on this line, hold the control key down. So now I have both of them selected. Then we go into the constraint defined. And as you see over here, we have a couple options we can choose from. We can go parallel, perpendicular, horizontal, vertical. So in this case, I want to make it parallel. So I'm going to click on it and watch what it says right here. It wants me to activate the constraint, which is down here. So now we're going to click OK, which will work. So let's cancel this. And let's activate this option, the geometrical constraint. And let's try it again. Pre-select the line with this line. Let's go back to the constraint. And watch this, we're not going to get the alarm anymore. See, because we constrained it. So let's cancel this. Let's delete this rectangular, and let's try it again with this option already highlighted. And the same thing with the dimensional constraint. So usually I like to, for my preferences, I like to have both of them activated. So in this case, once you're going to create a rectangular, automatically knows that this is a vertical line, horizontal, and horizontal. And if we try to move it like the previous rectangular, we cannot change it. So if we deactivate this option, we create another rectangular. Sorry, let's deactivate this. Give it one more try. Create another rectangular. We don't have the horizontal and vertical anymore. So if we're going to click on this point, we can distort it right away. It doesn't stay because it doesn't know it's a horizontal line. This right here, it knows it's a horizontal. So if I grab this point, I try to move it, it's not going to do anything to it. But if we delete the V, watch what happens. See, we still can move it. So it's not a vertical line anymore. But if we give a dimension, so if we select this line with this line, hold the control key down, we can give a dimension. So now we dimension those two right here. Now if you want to move this point again, watch what happens. It doesn't move up and down, but only sideways. So that's one of the options that I like to have activated. So it's called dimensional constraint. I keep it activated, and the geometrical constraint. This right here, it's a construction standard element. So if we have it highlighted, we'll give you a quick demo right now. For example, I want to make this and this. And then if I click on the construction standard element, what will happen? If I get out of the sketch, I won't be able to see those two lines right here because it knows I use it just for the construction only. So if I got out of the sketch, we don't see them anymore. We go back on the sketch, it's right here. So if you want to put them back again, just highlight them, hold the control key down, get them back to normal, get out of the sketch mode, and we can see them again. So this option over here is basically used for construction. If you want to create an axis, we can create a line instead of an axis, or whatever angle you want. Then click on this right here, we can make a constraint. We highlight this rectangular and we do a symmetry on this new constraint that we just selected. And once we're gonna get out of the sketch, we won't be able to see this line anymore because it knows we use it just to for a sketch constraint. So if we get out, we won't see it anymore. Okay, go back into it, click on the line, deactivate it, get out of the sketch, we'll be able to see anymore. Again, the reason I'm saying this, the moment we try to create a pad, because we have open, it's not a closed geometry, it doesn't like this line right here, so we have to have it closed. We got to create a closed boundary. So it says the selected sketch contains several open profiles. So we can click no, we cancel this, and let's go back on the sketch, double click on the sketch, and let's create a constraint. We'll get out again, we'll go back to the pad, and watch the difference. It's working. So he knows I use it just for the constraint, and that's the difference. Okay, so let's cancel this, and let's go back to our multi-pad option. Let's delete all this right here. So let's create any shape that you prefer. See right now, because I have this option highlighted, it's going to create my rectangular in a construction mode. So let's put it back to normal, and let's create some more sketches on the inside. Let's create one of those shapes right here. Okay, let's try one of those guys, no hexagon. So you can put any shape you prefer. We're just gonna do a multi-pad option right now. Let's see what other option we can put in here. So let's use a multi-line. And what else we have in here? Let's use a curve. So we have to make sure we close this. So if you want to zoom in a little bit, if we bring the mouse to the end of the geometry, to the end of the curve, we can see the full moon. So now we know it's right at the end of it. So now we can click OK. Now we click Escape, and it's going to snap on the last point. There we go. So now we have our sketch ready for the multipad. Now we'll get out of the sketch again, and we're going to go to the multipad. So now it knows on our domains all the sketches individually. So the moment you click on each sketch, you can see on the screen the blue line around it. So if we go number 5, extrusion, it's the outside. Number 6, it's this curve right here. So you can dimension each one individually. That's the cool thing about it. So we can go on the first one. So let's give it, 1 inch. It's too high. So let's go 1 inch on this. Let's go this guy. With this guy, we can click the control key down, and we can give a dimension to both of them at the same time. Okay, let's dimension this guy right here. Let's make it 100,000. This guy right here, let's give it 1/2 inch. Actually, let's go reverse. So click on the arrow and automatically it's going to snap on the other side. Okay, let's give some dimension to this guy right here. And if we click on this guy, maybe we can drag it up and down. Let's see if we click on the limit. It doesn't want to do it, so let's give it a dimension. Let's click preview. Let's click OK. So now if we, oops, I zoom in too much. So as you see, if I rotate the part upside down, each sketch individually has got a different depth. Okay. And if you want to edit it, if you don't like the depth, you can just double click on the part, will throw you back into it, so we can change the dimension. Preview, click OK, and there we have it. Or what we can do, we can go back on the sketch, double click here, and let's say we don't like this right here, we can highlight it, then hit the delete key. We'll get out of the sketch and automatically it's gonna update. So it knows we deleted it and it's got an error. So if we put edit, we'll click OK. We'll click OK. It took the major one out. The tallest pad, it's out. So right now we can automatically update the pad. So this is one of the options. I don't use this as much, but because it's got different profiles, what I usually can do, I can create multi-pads and I assemble them together. But it's good to know this option. Okay, so this is the multi-pad function.